Jesus told the story that there was a man laying by the side of the road. He'd been robbed and beaten. They said one man came by. There was the same race, his fellow brother, and he kept walking. Then another man came by that was steeped and well read in the scriptures, knew every scripture, knew how to quote the book back and forward, but he only quoted the book. He never lived by the book, and he kept walking. But Jesus said a third man came by, and he stopped and looked at the man. He wasn't the same race, wasn't the same religion, but he picked the man up, and he took care of restoring the man to his rightful being. And Jesus called him the Good Samaritan. The problem is too many of you been walking by the Eric Gardners, been walking by the Trayvon Martins, been walking by the Aubreys, been walking by, and now we stopped for George Floyd. And I'm in Houston today because I don't want nobody to call me a passerby. Jamie here because he's not a passerby. All of you are here because we're not passerbys. And we're going to be back in Minneapolis when the trials start. Because you may pack the police union on one side, but the righteous is going to be on the other side of that courtroom. Amen. It's time that we reclaim the righteous in this country. Well, Reverend, we don't know if we got the money, we got the political power. Well, we got the vote. And we got something that we had before we had the vote. We had God on our side. That's why when they was even in slavery, they used to have church out in the slave quarters. Because they understood that if they called on God, that God would answer prayer. And the same God that brought us from chattel slavery is still on the throne. The same God that brought us from the back of the bus is still on the throne. The same God that brought us from Jim Crow is still on the throne. And if we're right, he'll fight our battle. And we'll put Georgia's name in history where they say that's the one that they shouldn't have touched. That's the neck they shouldn't have been down on. Because if my people called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from your wicked way, then you will hear from heaven. I will heal the land. I want to say, we have said we're going to keep marching. We're going to keep protesting. August 28th, we're going to Washington by the tens of thousands. We're going to have a national march on the anniversary of I Have a Dream. Floyd family and the other families going to lead it. But I want to say this before I leave to the Floyd family. Don't ever forget in your darkest hour that be not dismayed. Whatever betide, God will take care of you. I'm in Wright's Church, I can preach a little bit. Beneath his wing of love abide. God will take care of you. I was like Floyd, I grew up with daddy gone. Mama had to make it with welfare checks. I used to go and shop with the food stamps. A lot of folks say that, but the way I know, Phalonis, if you've been on food stamps, is I ask you what color was your food stamps. Because if you don't know the different colors, you just fronting. But I used to slip the little gray slip so my friends wouldn't know I was on food stamps. But Mama told me something I never forgot. She said, he may not be there when you want him, but he's always on time. The Lord will make a way out of no way. And I can tell you 40 years later, he walks with me. He talks with me. He tells me that I'm his own. He's been food when I was hungry. He's been water when I was thirsty. He's my rock, my sword and shield, my wheel in the middle of the wheel. He's the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. He woke me up this morning, started me on my way. Yes, 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 yes. Let me say this. We got to go to the cemetery. Let me say this. I saw Michael Brown Sr. here, and I thought about, I told him this story. 9/11 happened, Congressman Green, and we were all flustered in New York. They closed down the bridges, closed down the streets, closed the trains. I had to walk all the way to my headquarters of National Action Network. When we got there were people everywhere. Cell phones was down, and people came to our headquarters to see if we could tell them what was happening, whether we were out of danger. And for the first time since I was a little boy, I started preaching, as Bishop said, since I was a little boy. And I always had something to say, but the first time in my life, I couldn't find words to say. And Jimmy, I went in my office, Terry Anderson, I was trying to figure out what could I say. And I thought about this old preacher told me this story. He said, Al, I had to preach one Sunday, the early service, and I started reading this novel about 8 o'clock that night. And I got so into it that I couldn't put the novel down. I looked at the clock, it was 10 o'clock. I wanted to go to bed, but I couldn't put the novel down. It was so intriguing. And I kept reading it. Turned out, looked again, it was 11:30. I said, Lord, I gotta get some rest. I gotta get up too early. But I couldn't put it down. He said, I kept reading. Finally, it was after midnight. And he said that, Al, I gotta tell the truth. I decided then I would cheat. And I turned to the end of the book to find out how the story was going in. I want you to know on 9/11, 2001, I want the family to know, like I told Michael Brown's family, that afternoon I cheated. I sat in my office and I took my Bible out. And I turned to the end of the book. And I know how this story's going to end. The first will be last. The last will be first. The lion and the lamb is going to lay down together, and God will take care of his children. We got some difficult days ahead, but I know how the story's going to end. There's going to be justice for George Floyd. There's going to be justice for Eric Garner. This story won't end like this. God will never leave us nor forsake us. I've been to the end of the book. Let's fight on. Let's stand together. Let us not leave this family now that the ceremony is over. This is the beginning of the fight. This is not the end of the fight. George, I read on the front page of the New York Times this morning. You said you wanted to touch the world. Well, God had already made you for that. But you didn't touch it in a basketball court or football court. God had something else for you to do. Because all over the world, George, they're marching with your name. You touched the world in South Africa. You touched the world in England. You've touched every one of the 50 states. Even in a pandemic, people are walking out in the streets, not even following social distancing, because you've touched the world. And as we lay you to rest today, the movement won't rest until we get justice, until we have one standard of justice. Your family is going to miss you, George, but your nation is going to always remember your name, because your neck was one that represented all of us, and how you suffered represented our suffering. So we're going to lay you near your mama now. You called for mama. We're going to lay your body next to hers. But I know mama's already embraced you, George. You fought a good fight. You kept the faith. You finished your course. Go on and get your rest now. Go on and see mama now. We're going to fight on. We're going to fight on. We're going to fight on. We're going to fight on.